That record holds now that Hamilton
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Grand Prix Podcast. I'm Elton, and this, as always, joining me is Mr. Andy.
G'day, Cobbo. How you doing, sport?
Where the bloody hell are you?
This week, I'm mostly messaging you from Sydney, Australia. So while it's 8:30 in the afternoon for you, It is 6:30 in the morning for me.
Okay, well, that's dedication for you.
It is. I like to think so. Just like the dedication for getting up to watch the sodding race.
Oh, man, yeah. Well, I'd like to say you had to get up for it, but I'm sure that you were jet-lagged to buggery.
A little bit. I mean, it kind of worked in my favour there, but it was still... I have a tale to spin about just trying to watch this race, which I'll get to in a bit.
Right.
But it was... it kind of worked in my favour in that respect, because the race... So it was on at like 9 o'clock for you, was it?
It kicked off at 10 past 7, because they do like the 10 past start now, don't they?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So it was 10 past 5 in the morning was the kickoff here.
Oh, man. Man, that's like watching the Japanese Grand Prix.
It is. And the other weird thing as well, it was Monday morning when I was watching it. This 5 race being Sunday afternoon in the US.
Flipping hell, man. You've got some dedication. You've got some cojones.
Wow.
And so if there is any dropout, any difference of quality as to normal, that is the reason why we have strings around the world talking.
Yeah, to be fair,
Skype.
we say it's the quality of a recording, not the quality of a content. That will be as shoddy as always. I promise you that.
Yeah.
Also, it being 6:30 in the morning, I have to go to work in a little bit. So if you get towards the end of this, I go very quiet and disappear. It's because I've just gone to work.
Yes. Okay. Right. Well, what we'll do, we'll run through everything as quickly as we can, and then you can have some, I don't know, shrimps on the barbie or something for breakfast.
Yes. It's something like that. It's a traditional Australian breakfast of shrimps on the barbie,
and
which
Foster's.
if you stay down here, and Foster's, you will be lynched.
Okay, cool. Right. So, initial impressions of the race. I want to get them off you really quickly. Initial
impressions at the time, it started off quite interesting and exciting. There was an interesting kind of first third. Then I thought it got a bit dull towards the middle, and then it got exciting again towards the end. And then it got while I was very happy with the result, it got very boring towards the end when it became very apparent nothing was going to change.
Right. Okay, interesting. Because I found it fascinating all the way through. Yeah, I agree with you. There was a kind of lull in the middle.
Yeah.
But towards the end, I sometimes turn around and say that these races are like chess matches.
Oh yeah, it's 200 miles an hour game of chess. Yeah. But the problem was, I thought the game of chess ended about 10 laps before the end.
Oh no, I didn't. I thought it was. When you watch, not that I watch it because it's not on Sky Sports or anything like that, but when you watch a chess match and then it starts getting heated because everyone's running out of time on the clocks and they keep bashing the clock really, really quick. Yeah. It's like speed chess. That's what it was like at the very end. The last 3 laps, maybe the last lap wasn't there, but that was a breather. Just draw it in what's actually happening here. And I came away well happy, as the kids say.
You did.
Yes.
But
I thought,
no one is unhappy about this result, to be fair.
No. But I thought this was the best United States Grand Prix we've had at this track.
Quite possibly. It always gives it's always a solid race. I don't think it ever gives an exceptional one. Mm-hmm. But it always gives a solid race. Never one of those, like Azerbaijan this year, like Spa most years. It never gives you one of those which you're going to be remembered through the ages.
No.
But it usually gives a good solid race. It's certainly better than places like Barcelona.
Yep.
Or Sochi or whatever.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So I really enjoyed this. I think you enjoyed it.
I did enjoy it. I did it. Look, I enjoyed it enough to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to watch it. So.
Yeah, good man.
Can I just address that very quickly as well? So, trying to watch this bloody thing. I'm a Sky subscriber.
Yep.
Now, technically speaking, I shouldn't be able to watch my Sky player when I'm abroad. But I managed to get it working so I could. And I'm sat there and I'm watching the race build up and everything like that. It gets to the parade lap. Halfway around the parade lap, the thing just cuts out and it just won't start again. And it's just like, mother trucker. And then I entered the world of trying to find a streaming service to watch it so I could watch the race because it wasn't on any of the TV channels in the hotel. Finally managed to do it. I missed the actual start, but then, they just did replays non-stop for the first 4 laps. Yeah. So that was fine. It was just one of those like, Jesus Christ!
This is why I don't dip into torrents or anything like that ever. I just know that would break me.
No, they worked. It was the legitimate app not working. So my legitimate way of watching it failed me. So I had to fall back on streaming.
I don't think there's a problem in streaming it if you're already paying for it anyway. If I was to get like a hooky version of it and had like Japanese commentators, which sometimes would be better, I wouldn't have a problem with that because you got the backup of, well, I'm already paying for it anyway, and your thing ain't working, so screw you guys. Yeah,
but it was just the timing was just like halfway around a parade lap.
Yeah,
I'm like gearing up. This is going to be good. We're going to get to the race. I'd seen Martin's grid walk. I'd seen all of that. I'd seen the atrocious suits that the Red Bull drivers were being forced to wear.
Oh, they were gross, man. They were utterly
and they
gross.
do it all the time. It's you know what it is. So Red Bull always used to be the young hip company and everything. It's now the dad still trying to be hip company.
Yeah,
that's what it's become. It's the dad jokes racing team.
Yeah, it's like they're using the same marketing people from 2000 and whenever they started.
When David Coulthard had to stand on a podium with a bloody Superman cape.
I'm surprised that got through. How the hell did that get through?
No.
We will never know. Anyway, the race was... Hang on, when was the last race? It was 2 weeks ago, wasn't it? So has there been any news in between?
Apparently there has been, but I did spend most of the last 2 weeks on a plane. Just one plane. So you run with this, mate.
Okay, right. Well, okay, we have... Russell has signed for Williams, so he'll be driving for Williams next year, which is, I suppose, good for GB racers.
Oh, dear God. You know what it's going to be next year, don't you? It's going to be wall-to-wall, non-stop. Lewis Hamilton, George Russell, and Lando Norris on the Sky Sports coverage. Every single... hell, if they manage to wipe their asses cleanly, you're going to get a feature from bloody Paul di Resta on the Sky pad about how great they did.
Yep.
And nothing against these guys whatsoever. But, dear God, they get a bit jingoistic on the bloody coverage when there's a British racer involved. And that's fine when they're winning the championships, by all means, and when they're legitimately great.
Yeah.
But how much coverage did Palmer get for his little soiree into Formula One?
No one. So I think apart from us, no one turned around and went, do you know what? He's bobbins.
Yeah.
Utterly bobbin. No one on TV turned around and said, do you know what? He's a bit shit, isn't he? He's really rubbish. But yeah, I think that's the way it is.
I'm all for pride in your countrymen. I'm all for a little bit of flying the flag. That's great, But look, a spade's a spade sometimes. So I really want George Russell to do well. I want Lando Norris to do well. I mean, Lando's they're both up against it because they're in a McLaren and a Williams.
Yep.
Can you imagine 20 years ago these guys coming into a McLaren and a Williams? They'd have it made. Right now.
Having two British Grand Prix drivers coming into McLaren and Williams, you think, hang on, we're going to get a world champion here, aren't we?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
But so Russell's taken one seat at Williams. We still don't know who's going to be joining him. It could be, it could be Sorokin. I doubt it. It could be Kubica. I doubt it. It could be this other Russian Formula One driver who apparently has very deep pockets. Who knows? We'll just have to wait and see. Yes. It does sound like, though, it's not going to be Esteban Ocon, though.
No, I don't think it's going to be Ocon. Who did it sound like it was going to be? They were talking to someone on the grid. I watched the Channel 4 stream of this instead.
Yeah.
Because something else was happening downstairs, so I had to disappear upstairs to watch this.
Okay.
And I forget who they were talking about going to Williams. It was mentioned, but I didn't write it down. So, alas, it has been lost forever until next week, I suppose.
This is the quality coverage people come to this podcast to hear.
Yes.
Some
exactly.
bloke said something, but I can't remember who it was or what it was about. But it happened.
I don't think they expect anything less, really, do they?
Like I said, the technical issues might be there, but the same shoddy quality content that we always promise you.
That's right. Okay, Perez has re-signed for Force India for next year.
I thought that had already been done, or is that just formally done now, I guess?
This is formally rubber stamped now.
Okay.
All done. Van Dorn is going to Formula E. I'm not so sure what team he's racing for, but he's obviously decided, well, I'm not welcome here. There's no seats around here, so let's go play with the Scale Electrics instead.
Fair enough.
Yep.
To be fair, though, from what I gather, it might be doing FE a bit of a disservice calling it Scale Electrics.
It is. It's getting better, and the cars are looking rather good for next year as well. There is a female series on the horizon as well. Obviously, someone wants to make a lot of money.
And obviously, there was a certain contingent on the internet who are up in arms about this.
Oh, yeah, we can't have ladies driving around. You know, they should be in the kitchen, shouldn't they?
I say as the monocle falls out. Yeah.
This shan't do. This shan't do at all. What else? It has been clarified that only one move from now on in the braking zone is acceptable. Once again, so we've gone from we need a rule, let's get rid of this rule, and now we need the rule again.
I see.
So it was Charlie White, and he's turned around and said, look, it doesn't matter if you move twice under braking, either left or right or left or whatever you do. If you change direction twice, then that is a penalty.
Was this because of that Magnussen-Leclerc thing from last time out?
I think it's more of the Vettel thing where we thought he straightened up and then moved again.
Thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or was it Hamilton? No, it's Hamilton.
It was Hamilton, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was Vettel and Hamilton. Points are staying the same for next season, so that has been discussed. That was on the table. They were thinking about changing them up a little bit, but we're keeping the same points for the next season.
Fair enough, as it were. I saw McLaren has got Coca-Cola sponsoring them next year.
They had them this time out, didn't they? On one of the barge boards.
What did we see of McLaren this year? We saw a brief Williams going into the side of it, and then I think Stoffel was there.
He was there, yeah. He might as well have been towing a caravan.
Yeah.
The speed that he was going. But yes, they had Coca-Cola signage on their barge boards, and the Toro Rosso had KFC on their barge boards as well.
Well, there you go.
I'm waiting for them two to collide. You're like, yeah, there's a meal deal there. That's a copyright me, by the way.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And
should I point out that KFC is owned by Pepsi?
Well, yeah, that's why you can only get Pepsi and KFC, isn't it? Oh, yeah. Shut up, man. Shut up. Just leave it alone. There was a curb put into this track on the United States Grand Prix. Do you remember where Verstappen cut down underneath Kimi Räikkönen to poach the last place on the podium last year?
So we can get a look at the podium room, yeah. That's
right, yeah. Well, they've put a curb across that corner there just to stop people from doing that again, just in case.
Is that the one he went over again and then broke his wishbone?
No, it wasn't. He did that in it wasn't turn 19. I forget which turn it was. It was quite close to home. And he was able to, I think it was the exit of turn 12. And he was able to drive it back. No, hang on. Where was it? Turn 16, I think it might have been. Anyway, okay. It was one of the turns. And, he broke his suspension. We'll get into that in a second anyway. And the one thing I did want to really grumble about.
Okay.
Motorsports TV.
Right.
Are you aware of this?
I am aware of it. I had a brief subscription, which was I think Alonso was tweeting a free one a while ago. So I signed up for it and then never did anything with it because I get most of my news and everything through Autosport.
Yes. I had the brief subscription and I thought it was like, oh, this is like a year's subscription. No, it was just like 3 months. And I quickly deleted that just in case they wanted to get any money off of me. But they used to be Motors TV on Sky. And it was like you used to be able to watch Le Mans on there. Other races on there. They had this year's WEC. They were showing that on there as well. And last week, they just promptly turned around and said, do you know what? We're going to go behind a paywall and take our TV station off of Sky. And so you'll just be able to watch us on your phone and on your laptop and on your iPads, etc. To which I said, fine. See you later. Nice knowing you. Never going to pay for that. And that's where we were supposed to be watching WEC. And it's just all gone. It's just all disappeared now. I think BT might be picking up WEC, but then again, it's behind a paywall again. Yeah, that's disappointing. Very disappointing. It was a free-to-air TV channel. You could get it on Freesat, Freeview and Sky, and you can watch your motorsport to your heart's content. It was a good little coverage of stuff that you wouldn't normally watch. And it's just gone. They just got greedy. They put themselves behind a paywall, and that's it. It's gone. I ain't paying for it. I don't think anyone else is going to pay for it. And, it was nice knowing you. Let's get that tombstone ready. So, screw them losers.
Found some more news.
Okay, what you got?
Found some news. So, all of this kind of relates to the end of season test. The teams are not going to be allowed to test 2019 wings at that final test. Oh,
why not?
Don't know. FIA have just said no. They will not be given special dispensation to test 2019 wings.
Right.
And
is this a tyre test, do we reckon? Because sometimes they do like an Abu Dhabi tyre test at the very end of the season.
At the very end of the season, yeah.
Yeah.
And just about everyone who's moving teams is going to be allowed to test with the team, with one exception. Red Bull will not let Ricciardo test with Renault in that final test.
Why not?
Doesn't say. When asked, Christian Horner said, "What?" So they asked Ricciardo, and he says, "I'm not allowed to test, and I can't drive for the Red Bull, so I'm going on holiday." Mm-hmm. And then when Christian Horner was asked, he said he's under contract past that date, so he won't be doing the test. The question is he available? He is not. It's that simple.
Right.
So that sounds like someone is having some sour grapes still.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? But then again, a contract's a contract. If you're not, he's probably signed up until the 1st of January, isn't he? Or 31st of December.
No, you're absolutely right. A contract is a contract. I'm pretty sure, though, they let Vettel go and test Ferrari when he left.
Yep.
And Gasly is being allowed to test the Red Bull from Toro Rosso. And yes, same owners, but they're letting that happen. So it does just strike me as a little bit of sour grapes there.
Mm. I think that's a two-finger salute to Renault, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I don't think they're doing it so much to Ricciardo, but it does sound like they're just being. I mean, let's face it. This is a team who decided they wanted to brand their engines after a watch rather than brand them under the team partner, which gave them 4 world titles.
Yeah.
So don't really expect anything else from them.
Yeah. Cool. Right. Any other news that we got or not? No.
Okay. If you missed anything, you can find it next week.
Okay. Right. Well, we have. I'll go through the free practice. I'll tell you what. I'll go backwards in this. Free practice 3. It was very quiet. It was dry, and people were just doing long runs on there. Free practice 2. There were not enough tyres for everyone to go out due to the rain. And so just in case it rained the next day, they just decided, do you know what? We'll just sit in here and just do nothing for the fans that made out. There were a couple of drivers who went out because they weren't driving in FP1. And so they had to set times to prove that, they can drive cars. But let's go back to FP1, where we had Charles Leclerc. He spun under wet conditions And for some reason, to get back online, he had to drive off the circuit, across a gravel trap, and back onto the track, which, doing so, he dumped a fair amount of the gravel onto the track, which I think about 10 minutes later then brought out the red flags. Mm-hmm. And under this red flag, our dear friend Sebastian Vettel was caught speeding and received a 3-place grid penalty for this race. Genius.
Yeah, is he trying to deliberately throw the slim chance he has of his championship now?
I'm glad you said that. That's exactly what I thought. It's as if he's making these mistakes on purpose to turn around and say, well, that's the reason why I lost it. That didn't help. That didn't help. But if he didn't do these tiny little mistakes, he might be there. He might have, I'm not saying won it already, but he might be a bit closer than what he is. And he's just making excuses for himself now. Oh, man, he's just trying to...
It's frustrating, isn't it?
It is. It really is. There's no need to speed under a red. You're not gaining anything whatsoever.
And they've got the deltas on their dashboard. They know the speeds they're meant to be going to.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's just inattention, that is. That's careless.
And there was a lot of debate on the TV about, oh, well, this isn't a fair penalty. Well, you've done it to Daniel Ricciardo. You've done it to another driver. I forget who it was.
They came out and said the reason we had to do this is because we've done this before. It's for consistency.
Yeah.
So, yes, it's a harsh penalty, but it's a harsh penalty they're consistent in doing. And with things like safety, with things like going too quick under red and yellow flags, which are primarily there because the race has been halted due to a safety issue.
Yeah.
And, those are the one things that, Formula One really can't compromise on. It's if you do something unsafe like that, then you kind of need to get the book thrown at you.
I think so. And we're not talking about a rookie either, are we? We're talking about...
No.
I wouldn't say he's like one of the greatest world champions ever. I think the cards fell his way and he won 4 championships on the bounce. But there's no denying that he's a really, really bloody good driver. But he is a 4 times world champion, and so getting pulled up for red flag misuse is just it's an outrage, really. I don't think just giving him a fine, that's not where he's going to learn that lesson. Do him some damage in the championship, he might not do it again, and I'm hoping that he will never get this happen again, but I doubt it very much, as we'll probably learn later on. Oh, he's frustrating, really frustrating. Right, okay, qualifying. Q1, we had Verstappen running over one of the baguette curbs. He broke his right rear suspension.
Yep.
Poodled back, and then they couldn't fix it, could they?
No, he also shagged his gearbox, didn't he?
Yes, and didn't he he got a penalty for that as well, didn't he? A grid penalty?
No grid penalty. Max Verstappen he had a grid penalty for the gearbox change, but not for driving or anything like that. Yeah.
No, just
so yeah, he got a 5-place grid penalty.
So was the unscheduled gearbox change, was that because of this broken suspension?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay.
At least that's my understanding of it. But yeah, it's because the way the differential and the suspension, it all mounts into the gearbox. When you break something, and you damage the components there, you don't want to take the risk, do you, of it failing halfway around, so they change it as more as a precaution than anything else. Yeah,
well, you're sending either something deeper into mesh or pulling it out of mesh, aren't you? And that's just never any good for anyone.
No.
Okay, so we lost Van Dorn. He was the slowest. Ericsson, Stroll, Sorokin, and Mr. Alonso.
So pretty much the usual suspects.
Yeah. Williams and McLaren, and maybe one Sauber.
Yeah.
That's the way it's falling at the moment. In Q2, we had Hamilton running twice on a set of super softs after locking up at turn 1. He did set a time Well, he had set a time, but he could have missed out on Q3 if he'd stuck with it. So he had to go again. He didn't top the timesheets that time round, but it got him through at least. And we lost Verstappen, Hartley, Gasly, Magnussen, and Sainz.
Yeah, I mean, Gasly and Hartley didn't even bother running because between them, they had 75 grid penalties.
Ouch.
So, yeah, how's that Honda looking for you guys over at Red Bull?
Oh, Jesus. I think we're going to see a lot of Toro Rossos and Red Bulls starting from the back of the grid working their way through.
I don't know. I mean, if Honda are kind of just using the rest of this season to just test things willy-nilly because they don't give a damn, which I don't think they do, they might hopefully solve these reliability issues. But, yeah, I mean, they're the only... I mean, I think they took penalties last time out. No, it wasn't Japan. It was the time before that they took engine penalties as well, didn't they?
Yeah.
So they could have a new one. So, yeah.
It's pretty much every other race, though, isn't it?
It is at this point, yeah.
It feels like it. I'd love to see a tally at the end of the year of who's used what.
That would be good. Actually, that would be good to just see Honda's total grid penalties over the course of F1 just now.
They should make all the teams lay out all their broken bits.
Yeah.
In like a little pie graph.
There was some talk as well in the commentary I noted about whether or not teams which know they have, like, are starting from the back of the grid should even take part in qualifying, which we brought up, I think, the time before that. Because, they're stopping other teams progressing into Q2. And Martin goes, well, I just want to see them on the track. And I don't. Well, I want to see them on the track if it's worthwhile. Otherwise, they're just going around showboating, effectively.
Yeah.
They're just circulating. It's what's the point of that? What's the point? I mean, if, for whatever reason, Hartley or Verstappen or Hartley or Gasly were in cars capable of pole, if they got on pole and then had a 40-place grid penalty, they're all the way at the back. And then all that excitement for who's going to get pole, meaningless.
Exactly, yeah. And then you have to have a chat with the person who's going to be starting from the back of the grid.
Yeah.
You have to have that interview, don't you? It's just... Oh, I don't know. Sometimes it's fundamentally broken, isn't it, this sport?
A little bit.
Okay.
So Q1.
Q3, Hamilton grabbed pole position on his second run with Vettel 600ths behind him, and Kimi Räikkönen was another 100th behind the German. So the actual grid lined up like this. We had Hamilton on pole. Mm-hmm. Oh, Kimi Räikkönen was second, wasn't he? He started second after Sebastian dropped down.
Yeah.
Oh, God. No, I haven't got the right
grid. Do you want me to do this?
If you've got the right grid, yes.
No, it's just I can make the numbers work, so it's fine. So Hamilton was on pole.
Yep.
Alongside him was Kimi Räikkönen. Then Bottas was third. Ricciardo was fourth. Vettel was fifth. Ocon was started sixth. Hülkenberg seventh. Grosjean eighth. Leclerc ninth. And Perez 10th.
Good man. Right, okay. Well, that's it. And then we're off to the race, I suppose.
Off to the races, I suppose. Yeah, I don't think there was any other penalties to mention. Yeah, Vettel had 3 for his red flag thing. Gasly had 35. Hartley had 40. That's 35 for an engine and 5 for a gearbox. And Max Verstappen had 5.
Good. Right.
So Max finally started in 18th, if anyone was wondering.
Yes. And Van Dorn, hang on, he started in 17th, didn't he? That's right.
Van Dorn started 17th because the 2 Toro Rossos and Max.
Yep. Okay, cool. Mm-hmm. Cool. So he works his way up the ladder just due to penalties. Flipping out. He still didn't make it out of Q1.
Well, it's the same thing with Williams. The only reason they haven't started at the very back for the last few races is just all the penalties other people. Because the one thing you'll say about the Mercedes engine is it's reliable.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Okay, right. The race. Where do you want to start with this? Should we start at the start?
I think the beginning is usually a good place to start. Yeah, I find. The beginning, which I didn't get to watch live because, as I've already mentioned, my VOD decided to cut out halfway through the parade lap. So by the time I came back, it was, I think, lap 3. But then they got that quiet bit of a race where they just replayed a start over and over again.
Yeah, I would have been screwing if that was me. It would have been, you're going round on your pace lap, you're thinking, it's going to be good. Motherfucker! And it's gone.
Yeah, that's almost exactly what happened, yeah.
Okay, so there was talk, because I was listening or watching Channel 4, Eddie Jordan was on there. You remember that guy? Remember Eddie Jordan?
Oh, him and that double act with David Coulthard.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Them two snubbed me at the British Grand Prix, losers.
Yeah, I know.
He was talking about pole position being on the wrong side of the track. What do you think about that? Because they're saying once you get up the top of the hill, even though you're on the racing line to go through that corner, you have a much bigger advantage starting on the dirty side and going up the corner because you've got a wider exit to block on.
It's a bit swings and roundabout. I think Kimi had a fantastic start this time, and most of the issue with Lewis's start was down to wheel spin in that second phase. So I think if you, on the racing line, you traditionally have more grip there than on the dirty side, and it gives you the option to swing down and cut the nose off the corner. Yeah. But equally, if you're on the other side, as we saw with Kimi, you can get up the inside and you can run them out like Hamilton did to Rosberg a couple of years ago. Yeah, just lift your foot off the brake ever so slightly. Yeah. I think it might be, while this circuit's still relatively new, it might be a bit 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. But I think over time, you'll probably find that the racing line is going to become better and better until they resurface the track and then it all goes to shit. I think it's fine where it is. Yeah, well, I mean, again, if it wasn't for that getting bogged down in that second phase, Hamilton would have been in the head into turn one anyway. So. Yeah, well, Kimi did start on the ultra softs, didn't he? I think he was one of the only guys up the front end of the grid to start on them, and that gives you. They said it gives you extra 4 meters on the car in front, so that puts you alongside him straight away. So you already know you've got that corner, even though you're stuck in second position, which is a good tactic from Ferrari because they want Seb up there and racing. Okay, fine, don't go through a red light and get 3 points. Yeah. It's easy, really. It's not exactly rocket science, is it? No, otherwise Seb would be leading that race going into that first corner. But I think what they did with Kimi, they were using him because Seb was going to be further back, thinking, well, he can just pass 1 or 2 people, can't he? It'll be fine. He won't spin around at all, will he? No, it's not like he's done that, 3 times out of 3 now, it feels like. How many times has he spun this year? Well, he did it at Monza, didn't he? He did it at Monza when he tapped Lewis. Yeah. And he spun around then. And he did it another one. I'm trying to remember which one it was. Japan, yeah. Yeah. There was the China incident that we've seen him smoke his tyres on. Yeah. Where he got hit by a Verstappen. He hit a Red Bull as well. He hit Ricciardo another point, I'm pretty sure. I'm sure he did as well. I'm sure he's... Yeah, it's... I mean, on the one hand, he's a lucky son bitch because he's always managed to keep going and still score points. Yeah. But on the other hand, stop fucking hitting cars. I think we might have a 4th column this time round. Yeah. Will he spin? Yes. Oh, I was going to say yes as well. No, the better one is who will he hit to spin? Yeah, that's true, yeah. Well, he ended up hitting Ricciardo this time round, didn't he? Yeah. Yeah. And it's weird. He always hits. And the other guy almost always goes along like no problem. Yeah. And he just ends up, doing a full spin. It's just like, how did you mess this up so bad? It's been so many times, and he's coming off worse every single time. This time, he was on the inside, and he kind of understeered. I think he had dirty tyres because he'd been defending. Yeah, because he got alongside and past Ricciardo, and then blocks any move that Ricciardo wanted to do down the inside. So Ricciardo had to go the long way, but he had dirty tyres in. And I think he went deep. He had a wobble there, and
which set him up for Ricciardo to go around him, and he did. It's all the moves everyone else is making, and yet he's coming off worse every single time.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not looking good for him, mate. It really isn't.
Right. It definitely feels like he's on borrowed time at this point. I mean, this definitely felt like defeat snatch from the jaws of defeat this time out.
He didn't quite fall to the back of the grid, though, did he?
No, I mean, and fair play to him. You know, he managed to do the best he could. I definitely think that Ferrari had the pace to win. Well, we know it had the pace to win because they won.
Yeah.
But I think Vettel, this could have been a 1-2 for them. And if it had been the other way around, with Vettel ahead of... I mean, put it this way. If you had Vettel, Raikkonen and Verstappen, and Lewis only finishing fourth, that would have made a significant chunk into that point deficit and certainly kept this alive probably through to Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
Whereas it is a minor miracle. Well, it's a minor miracle it wasn't wrapped up this week. It's going to be an even bigger miracle if it's not wrapped up next week.
Yeah, well, Sebastian still got beaten by the championship leader at the moment, didn't he?
Exactly, yeah.
So he's lost more points this time round. But I'm sure we'll get into that in a minute.
Yeah, we'll get over to that. But yeah, he kind of clouted Ricciardo. We may as well just mention what happened to Ricciardo here and now, in that his engine did go break, and he was not a happy bunny because of it. And you've got to feel for him, because we can see as well. I mean, Max got from the back of the grid up to second.
Yeah.
So you have to think Ricciardo definitely would have been with a shot of a podium, might even be able to challenge for the win. But yeah, that engine went pop. And Christian Horner, a little bit snarky, saying he's going to have to go and speak to his future employers about that.
Yeah, he was a bit... Yeah.
You're look, Christian, you're being a bit of a shit right now.
He's been a bit of a dick, isn't he? He's got to calm that down a little bit. You know, he's got his spicy wife now, and so he's like, you know, Mr. Billy Big Balls, and he's like, well, do you know what? I can say whatever the hell I want. I'm getting Hondas next year. You're like, okay. I wonder what your they're not going to get Honda NSXs for car company cars, are they? What are they going to get? I don't know. But then again, they got Aston Martins this time round. What are they going to get from Honda? I don't know. But on the wiki, it does say battery for Ricciardo. Mm-hmm. So
okay.
Maybe it wasn't an engine-related issue. Because he did come round the hairpin and he just lost total drive, didn't he?
Yeah, he lost everything there. But I think the battery, all part of that powertrain comes from Renault. I think. Yeah,
I'm not too sure where the batteries come from, though.
Apparently, he put his fist through a wall. Apparently,
you can't blame him. How many races has he not finished this season already? He's having a proper dry spell.
But what I could say here is, if you look at what happened to Max Verstappen last year when he was having all the bad luck, it's just flipped, and that's just the way it goes sometimes.
Yeah. I think at the start of the season, if you turn around and say, right, you're going to have a crap end of the season, but you're going to have the Monaco win, do you reckon he would have taken that?
Probably, yeah, because he still wasn't going to win the championship.
No.
And if you're not going to win the championship, and he wasn't going to win, well, he might have won this race, but generally speaking, most of the races he's broken down and he wasn't going to win anyway.
No.
So it's frustrating, but he's got a job next year. He's got a paycheck next year. He won Monaco.
Yeah, that's right. Can we talk about Alonso, please? Because he didn't last
for the whole 30 seconds he was in this race, sure.
Okay, right. This was on the first lap. They were going through the S's, coming down the hill through the S's, not even a full lap completed. And Stroll saw a gap somewhere. It was offline. I think when he actually made contact with his side pod, he was off the track. And he just...
From the onboard, it looked like Alonso was certainly 2 wheels off, possibly 4 wheels off the circuit. He had nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
And Stroll just went straight into the side of him, and you could see he destroyed his radiators and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, and he had some mighty fine words to say about him. I can't remember exactly what he said, but it was they're trying to play billiards with me, or bowling with me, or he's just.
He did say afterwards though, because Stroll was squeezed, he had someone on the other side of him, and Alonso did say later that fine, fair enough, it wasn't Stroll's fault, but it was still he got squeezed, and there was nowhere for him to go, and just kind of went into. Stroll was hitting someone there and then, basically.
Yeah. And what else do we have? Grosjean and Leclerc also came together as well.
Yeah, they had a bit of a spin. I did see a very good little onboard from Brendan Hartley, who's making his way through, and he's just like, he passes the Stroll-Alonso crash, goes around the next corner, and there's Hartley and Leclerc crash, and then you got Vettel spinning, and it's just like, fucking hell, these 3 corners.
Yeah, but he's probably made up, 5 or 6 places out of that? Maybe even more.
Oh, easily. And I mean, I think he ended up with a point. So, yeah, he ended up in 9. So it's like, well, fair play to him.
Yeah, well, that is because of something that happened after the race as well, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
There was a couple of disqualifications.
Yeah. That's right. What else? Okay, with Ricciardo going out, it brought out our favourite friend, the VSC.
Your favourite friend, yeah, which to me just seemed a bit, why?
Do you know what? I love the VSC now.
Do you?
Yeah, because if they closed everything up, I don't think Kimi would have won this race.
I knew it would happen eventually. There'll be a situation you'd be like, yes, I love the VSC.
Yeah. Although, when that came out and there was a case of Hamilton, I think he was like 3 seconds off the pace. And behind the VSC, he really closed that up. I know everything gets closer when you slow everything down, but it almost halved that gap. And you had a situation where Mercedes came out into the pits and were telling Hamilton, look, if he comes into the pits, you stay out.
Yeah.
Or if
do the opposite. Do the opposite. Do
the exact opposite. And when Kimi did that shimmy, I thought, okay, right, he's going in. No, he's not. Oh, God, what are you doing? Because he had the Ultra Softs on, which weren't going to go as far as what Hamilton had on. Yeah. And he came in for the softs. And I thought, gee, he screwed it up again. Ferrari have really screwed this up. He should have come in. And I think everyone that I was looking at on Twitter was turning around and saying, Ferrari done fucked up. They should have pulled him in there. But it turned out not to be that way.
Well, I think fair play to it. The strategy should have worked. You know, I think Mercedes did make the right call. What they weren't counting on was the fact that Kimi Räikkönen has a very wise old head on his bonds, and he can make that Ferrari about as wide as a articulated truck.
Yeah, he proper backed him up as well, didn't he? When it all got going again.
Yeah, that was just some quality driving there. Also, I think it was very clear to see Lewis was very hesitant to stick his nose anywhere. You know, he didn't want to lose a wing or anything. At the end of the day, I think while Lewis would have loved to have won the championship here, with Vettel being so far down the field and him thinking, second will do, he probably wasn't trying as hard as he probably would have done in retrospect. I think if he looked back now, he'd have probably been a bit more forceful.
So if this was a first or second on the calendar, then yeah, he would have been sticking his nose right down there.
Not even, I think, if Vettel hadn't spun out and Vettel was currently running third, so you had Kimi, Lewis, Vettel, I think Lewis would have probably made more of an effort because Vettel was so close. Or if he didn't have, if it was a tighter championship, so if it was like 5 points in it, then he might have been a bit more inclined to go for it because, you know, if he'd have been taken out and let's say, you know, Crash didn't finish, and then Vettel was able to finish second or third, he's got what, 50 odd point lead at the minute or whatever, however many points it is. That would have been halved instantly. And then all of a sudden you've got 3 races left, but only 25 point deficit. That's a lot more achievable. So I think Lewis was a little bit playing the numbers game there and was like, I'm good with second. But then, you know, Verstappen getting ahead of him and Vettel getting past Bottas just changed the dynamic a little bit. So, 2020 vision being what it is, I don't think Mercedes made the wrong call.
Right.
I just think Kimi did a much better job blocking and backing up Lewis than anything else.
See, I thought Mercedes totally did the right call. I would have pulled Raikkonen in at that time straight away. I thought that was the time for him to get rid of them boots. But like you say, I think Kimi did a fantastic job just holding Raikkonen, holding Hamilton off in the first phase before the VSC, because he did have a dive or two down there, but he just he couldn't really get close. And I think after the race, Sebastian turned around and said, yeah, the car was quicker today because we took off 4 months worth of evolution on that car, which weren't working.
Yeah. We went back to effectively Monza spec, I think it was.
Yeah.
And it was just like, well, what does that tell you about their development? But at least they had the balls to acknowledge it and fix it. And they didn't just steadfast, they didn't do a bloody McLaren and, sit there and say, no, it'll come good. It'll come good.
Yeah, the numbers say it should be good. Yeah, but sometimes that doesn't translate onto the track, though, does it?
No.
Right. So, okay, let's. Who should we talk about? What happened?
How about Verstappen? Because let's give him his due. He came from 18th on the grid to finish second, and he did that second stint on the super soft tyres.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
And he still had speed at the end, so fair play to that boy.
Yeah.
That was damn impressive. But I tell you what, that reputation he's been cultivating for himself paid dividends, because Lewis didn't want to get anywhere near him.
Exactly. It's working now, isn't it? All that time where he's been blocking and having crashes, now people are starting to think twice about diving down the inside of him.
Well, I think, again, it's because Lewis has a championship to look after.
Yep.
And Verstappen's just going, well, whatever, points. Maybe have a chance of a win. I want that. So I do think that will bite him in the arse when he's in a championship position. He's going to have to change his attitude then. But to be fair, Lewis and Vettel both had that kind of mentality with their first championships to an extent. So I'm sure maturity will, season him out over the course of his career.
Yeah.
But, fair play to him. That was a really, really strong drive. And I noticed he afterwards he was showing he'd actually worn a hole through his shoe.
His shoe?
His shoe, yes.
Oh, okay.
When he was doing the part Ferme bit, and he was talking to Brundle, he was just showing there was a little hole in his shoe.
Right.
His terrible, terrible cowboy boot.
Oh.
Just please, Red Bull, please stop it. You have a dad jokes of what's cool in Formula One now. It's stop it.
Stop the lederhosen fireproof kit as well. Stop the Superman stuff. Stop all this stuff. Make it look cool. Make it look like something that people actually want to wear. Make it something like the kids want to wear for bed.
You used to be the cool team. Now you're just the lame team.
Yeah.
So fix it. It's. I mean, I'll tell you what. I'm glad they haven't, because they're tied up with Aston Martin, gone with like some tuxedo-shaped racing coveralls, because I could totally see them doing that. It's just decent race overalls, and their usual ones are fine. They're fine. Just keep that.
They're dressing like mums collecting their kids on a Monday evening. That's what they're dressing like now. Yeah.
So,
and trust me, I have seen a fully grown man wear a Batman onesie to school.
You've seen things people wouldn't believe.
People shouldn't wear indoor clothing outdoors. It annoys me. I think I've said this before on different podcasts, but you shouldn't wear indoor clothing outdoors. If you do that, you're wrong. If you wear slippers out to the supermarket, there is a list waiting for you, and you should be put on this list and then removed from the gene pool at some point.
Elton, just promise me something. If you ever come to the US, never go to Walmart.
They don't, do they?
There's a whole website dedicated to it.
Oh, Jesus. I didn't know that.
Well, you're welcome.
don't you dare send me a link for that, because it's just an angry web page I'll be looking at later on.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so Verstappen's covered. I thought he did really well. What about Lewis? He had a couple of dives down Kimi. I thought he did well. I thought he was on the right strategy. He was one of the only guys that did a 2-stop as well.
He effectively had a free pit stop because he did it under the safety car, which again tells me he made the right decision at the time. But the decision was right. It's just the race unfolded in a different way that was unexpected. I don't think anyone could really predict how good Kimi would be at doing that, or how well Verstappen would be able to make those tyres last.
Yeah.
Because by rights, I was thinking, well, he's going to have to pit again for another set at the end.
Yeah.
And he just didn't. So I don't. Ferrari have been very good on their tyres this weekend. They're very, very gentle on them. Very little wear. So I just think it's just the quirks of how it is. I don't think Lewis did anything wrong. I think he was maybe a little bit timid.
I don't know. Do you know what? What Lewis did this time round is what I've been wanting people to do for a long time, and do something different to everyone else on that grid. And they decided to pull him in early, put him on softs, and then tell him, put your foot down. And he did that. And then once everyone else had shaken out and done their stops, he had a lead of like 17 seconds at one point.
Yeah.
And he was out there and he was trying to tow it as fast as he could, knowing he had to build up a gap. And then when he came in, that's what I want. I want someone trying something different, using their car to what they can. And that's what he did. So that's where I got some joy out of that. That's why I was excited about that. Because, okay, right, he's going to come in, but then he's going to do it all over again and then maybe get to the front.
Well, and that's, I think, where my disappointment came, is just because when you have cars of equivalent speed, it's still very difficult for them to pass, which is frustrating as fuck. I think if Lewis had pitted maybe 5 laps earlier than he did for the second one, he'd have probably won. Because I think they left it a little bit too long. They were just, trying to see if he could go to the end of those tyres, and then it became apparent it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
So they had to pit, and then he'd lost the advantage of it.
He'd lost some time in them tyres as well, hadn't he?
Exactly. And he didn't have an additional set of super softs because he used them on the Q2 run. So it was just a lot of things kind of just came together to me, but today wasn't the day for him. But that's fine as far as I'm concerned. It goes on for at least another race, and you never know what happens. He could have a mechanical failure. Vettel could win.
Yeah.
Not hit someone. Stranger things have happened, I know. You don't know. So, I'm kind of fine with it going on to another race. He seemed fine. It's just when he was up against Verstappen, there's a Lewis from a couple of years ago, a Lewis from earlier in the season, who would have had him, quite frankly. Lewis used to get the aeros out just as well as Verstappen did, but he knows there's a championship here. And, they even made this joke in that... Did you see that thing before the race with Lewis and Johnny Herbert going around in a Mercedes?
No, because I was on the Channel 4, wasn't I?
Oh, you're on the Channel 4. So basically, they were doing one of those bits where Lewis drives the guy around, and Johnny's asking him a few things, and he goes, you're coming up into turn 1, you got Kimi on the left, Verstappen on the right, which way do you turn? And he goes, you turn left. You stay away from Verstappen.
Yeah. And
it was all very jokey and funny, but that's true. They don't want to get close to him, because I think every time one of the top drivers has kind of made a pass, which would have gone fine against any of the other top drivers, when it comes to Max won't give a quarter. And I know there are people that say, well, that's what we want. That's what you want to see, and that's fair enough. But all it results in is a lot of carbon fibre all over the shop.
Yeah.
And someone getting a penalty, and then Max complaining about getting the penalty, and Charlie Whiting saying, well, you deserved it.
Yeah. But I think, I know we've already said this, but I think what Verstappen has done, you have to give it to him. He's stuck to his guns, and he hasn't changed the way that he drives. He's always been ruthless. He's always, he's always put someone else in the position where they have to make the decision. I'm going to take the apex. It's up to you whether you want to come down the inside of me, knowing I'm going to close this door. And people continue to keep going down there and get bitten. And he keeps losing out, but he's sticking to it and going, no, I'm still going to do that. You remember what happened last time? Right, okay, do you want that to happen again? And now people are going, okay, no, because he will close that door. And now it's going to start working for him. If the Honda comes to him, and if he's in that championship winning position, then people are going to remember that. And that is what's going to give him the psychological edge over everyone else.
To an extent, though, I think, as I said earlier, if he's in a championship battle and he's driving like that, and, you know, let's say you've got, for sake of argument, Hülkenberg coming through, not in the championship winning position, but there's a chance of a win. And Hülkenberg decides he wants to have a go. And Max does his, I'm just going to spin my arms, and if you walk into them, well, that's down to you.
Well, I'm going to kick like this, and if you walk into my feet...
Yeah, he does that, and they collide.
Yeah.
Hülkenberg's lost the win, but at the end of the day, it's not good. But then he loses the championship. That's when that mentality has to change.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes a good racing driver a great driver, is when they can recognise that distinction. So at the minute, it's fine. Red Bull were never going to win the championship this year. You know, he had an outside chance of a race win, but who cares at the end of the day? It's the championship or nothing. I think that next year, if Renault, if Honda are able to come good and Red Bull are in there, in with a sniff of it, then it'll be very interesting to see if he still drives like that. Because I tell you, if he crashes out 4 or 5 times in the season and it ends up costing him the championship because of that, there'll be a lot of people who previously been saying, oh, isn't it great? Isn't he fantastic? What a strong, amazing racing driver. Will be starting to saying, he's childish, he's immature, he shouldn't be making mistakes like this, he's got to mature as a driver. They'll be saying that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So we'll you know, there's more to winning championships than winning races at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And you know, he's got to develop that bit, but he's not really been in a position where he's had to worry about that in Formula One yet. So we'll just see what comes of that.
No, he's always had that excuse of he's young, and Horner has always turned around and said, well, look, if he breaks a car, at least he's learning and he's developing his skills until he can actually make the breakthrough.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there is a bit of, okay, you have to know when to back off and fight your battles and come second to get the points. And yeah, like you say, if you're in a championship battle with 3 races to go, you let Kimi, not that you let Kimi win, but you let the other person take that win because you're still going to get more points than the other person you're racing.
Absolutely. I mean, if this was the last race of the season, and let's say the situation was reversed, it's Vettel, and if Vettel wins, he will win the championship. But if he doesn't, if he finishes third, he won't. You know, any driver in that position will make that lunge.
Yes.
Because who cares if you finish behind by 5 points? You're still second. You make that lunge and try and do that, get that win. But there's still 3 races left, so you play the odds. You play the points game. Fair enough. You know, it is what it is. And that's just for me what made the end of the race just a little bit disappointing. I just knew that Lewis wouldn't really go for it. He wasn't going to risk his car. And I'm not saying I want them to risk the car, but I knew that he's going to sit a third. Once after that bit of a fight with Verstappen, where he had a couple of looks in a couple of corners, which was great, that whole hunting him down and doing it. But once he couldn't get by there, it was very clear that he's just like, no, I'm just going to sit behind. And it's not that he gave up. It's just that he knew the points I'll get for third are worth more than being taken out trying to get second.
Yeah, but...
And I think as well, once Vettel had gotten past Bottas and he wouldn't won the championship even if he had finished second, it's just like, meh.
Yeah, might as well sit here in third. But I think he gave a good account of himself. And I think he did go for it. And if by some miracle Max had backed off and lifted and let Hamilton through, then he would have been in prime position to take it. But because Verstappen was, well, no, I'm still going to hang on to this second place, even though I'm losing time on Kimi, because that's what I was thinking. These dudes are battling. I'm really enjoying this.
Yeah,
and you're letting Kimi go. And like, yes, just let him go. Just, oh man, I was jumping up and down for that.
I could sense that. Even here on the other side of the planet, I was going, someone's got a grin on his face.
Yeah.
And I want to be clear. I'm not saying Lewis was not trying, and I'm not saying Verstappen was being reckless or anything like that. All I'm saying is that the reason the results were what they were, and he didn't make any mad lunges or anything like that, is because they're looking at the championship, not the race.
Yeah. Which
you do at this point of the season. That was kind of my point.
No, that's cool. It's cool. See, I really like that dice. I thought it did have a little lull, but you knew once Hamilton came out, because when Hamilton came back out the pits after his second stop, he was 12 seconds behind them. And he was like, where did that come from? You know, where did that time go? And he couldn't really calculate in his own head. Well, hang on, no, he was 17 seconds ahead. And then by the time he had pitted, I think he was about 11 seconds ahead. So Kimi was catching him up again. Yeah. But
they said he was going to get by on pace alone. Although maybe not, because I think Lewis is just as good as making his car wide. But then again, you're in a situation where if he does get by and then Verstappen gets by, and you know, it's hindsight's always 20/20.
Yeah.
And we are fantastic armchair generals.
Oh, we are amazing, man. One question.
Yes.
The guys on Sky, because I wasn't listening to that, I was listening to the Channel 4. They had the opinion of possibly Kimi backing Verstappen up into Hamilton. So Verstappen gets the DRS. So Lewis can get the DRS, but it's null and voided by Verstappen's. Did they mention that at all?
No, not really. Because it was one of those ones that was. It was one of those ones that was floated as, do you think Kimi would back him up to try and help Vettel? The general consensus was like, fuck, he will.
That's what
Kimi wants his win. Kimi wants his win. Look, he might win in one of the remaining 3 races, but I think wins in Sauber are going to be very difficult. So I think he sensed that this might be my last Formula One win. I'm having this. It's been long past due. The rest of y'all can go screw. And I think once Verstappen was behind him, that far behind him, he's just like, meh. Lewis and Verstappen can play. I don't really care what Vettel's doing all the way back there. It's too far away for me to do anything about it. I'm running my race. And that's what it was. So I don't think there was any suggestion from the Sky commentators that Kimi would do any backing up.
Well, it wasn't backing up to Vettel. It was just a case of giving Max the DRS so he can battle against Hamilton and have the straight line speed against the Mercedes. And I thought that's a dangerous game to play. That is a ridiculous game to play. I know Ferrari were really quick as well, because Hamilton, in the first phase, he couldn't really make it past Kimi, even with the DRS. But it's a dangerous game to play.
Well, I was going to say, you're in that same situation as well. If you're Kimi, you don't want Verstappen anywhere near you.
No.
You start slowing down to try and do that. If Verstappen starts getting a sniff of the win, it's kind of all bets are off.
Yeah.
Because he will make that sort of a lunge that won't come out well for anyone there, potentially.
Yeah.
So I think Kimi was just racing his own race and, you know, let the chips behind him lie where they will. He did everything he had to do, and you know, he backed up Hamilton beautifully after Lewis had his tyre changed, pretty much negating all the advantage of those fresh tyres.
Yeah.
And you know, I mean, that's what won him the race. It was that defensive driving there when he was on the older super soft tyres or ultra soft tyres or whatever he was on. I can't wait until next year when it's just soft, medium, and hard.
No,
can't wait.
I'm looking forward to that. I think they did a piece earlier on as well about that. But there's 2 other things I want to bring up.
Sure.
No, 3 other things.
Okay.
Valtteri Bottas, very quiet. and George Russell maybe in a couple of years' time taking his place. I don't know.
I think you'd see Ocon in that car before Russell.
Yeah. What else was there? Sainz, he got a penalty because of a move on the into turn 1. He went wide
on the first lap. Yeah.
Yeah, and apparently gained a position on a Force India.
It was deemed he gained an advantage by leaving the track limits.
Yeah.
So he went out wide. It was turn 1, lap 1. So, in that whole melee. And he ran out wide and he rejoined, but then he managed to take the Force India in turn 2. So the argument was that he made the, that gave him the advantage. He was given a 5-second penalty, of which at first, on the Sky commentary anyway, they were like, well, that's the best deal ever. If you can pass 5 or 6 cars and just take a 5-second penalty halfway into the race, absolutely. But then when they saw the feedback, they were like, oh, that might have been a bit harsh actually, because it wasn't like he took the piss. It wasn't like it was really done with huge amounts of malice. He was kind of just run out wide and just kept his foot in. And I know both Force India and Haas are going, oh, that penalty was far too lenient and, he should have been hung, drawn and quartered. But that's just what they...
No, the way I saw it is he got pushed out wide. He didn't want to go over them baguette curbs, which is fine.
Yeah.
And everyone wants to avoid them. And I think Vettel was out there as well, although Vettel didn't make up any places. Now, he did come alongside one of the Force Indias, but then that Force India got in front of him, but then he got it round the outside of another corner in the S's on the way down on the first lap. So I don't see where that advantage comes from. I personally don't see that he got any advantage on that whatsoever.
I think it just meant he had more drive going into turn 2. Right. I think it's tenuous at best. And I always think they should just unless you've gone and bloody done a Grosjean in a turn 1 or something like that, first lap, first corner, you should kind of just turn a blind eye to most of that stuff just because it's such a melee. You've got 20 cars trying to go into the space that 3 might fit.
Yeah. If you're seriously taking the piss, then yes. But there's swings and roundabouts. And also, did you hear the guy that grabbed a microphone?
The guy that grabbed a microphone?
Yes. During the race, about halfway through the race. No, it wasn't even halfway through the race. It was in the first phase of the race, before the pit stops, I think. Someone managed to get one of these trackside microphones and scream, "Meow," down in it.
No, I missed that.
Oh, no, it was brilliant because it went out live. I was watching the Channel 4 and it went out live there. And someone just grabbed I was laying on my bed watching it. I had my son next to me and we were going, did you hear that? And there was this bloke going, meow, meow. And we was like, yeah, I heard that. And then we looked at each other and carried on watching. And then it happened again. He's clearly stood on the track somewhere and cars are going past him and he's just doing his own little noise. And it went out to millions of people out there. And I've seen like a replay of it on the Sky now. And they do mention it. They're like, oh, did that actually go out? I thought that was just in our ear rolls. No, that went out to millions of people across the world.
Oh, please post a link to that in the show notes or something. I want to check that out.
Yeah. Oh, so I think we should give a little golf clap to the NEOW man.
Oh,
well done,
very,
sir.
Very, very nicely done. Well played.
Yeah.
You should join this podcast. It sounds like you'd fit in.
Yeah, definitely. Don't do it every race. That will get annoying. But every now and again, that's cool.
Yeah. When it's appropriate, that's absolutely fine. Yeah. That's cool. Anything else to comment on? Oh, we've got a couple of disqualifications we need to mention, I suppose.
Yeah, can I just mention that Kimi Räikkönen.
Yeah. Why was he?
Kimi Räikkönen won the race.
He did. After 113 races since his last win, which was Australia 2013.
Yeah, this podcast wasn't even running when he won his last race.
It wasn't even running with me. It was even before that and before the before times. So yeah.
Although I was doing this show in that season that he last won.
Yes.
Although it was, we didn't cover it, so this is like a new winner for us.
Yeah, there you go. So well done, Kimi. Like I said, I could sense your excitement all the way down here.
Yeah, I knew it was coming some point this season. I was going to start betting on the last race, Abu Dhabi. Yeah. I still might put him down for that because he's won that race before as well. And I'm thinking, do you know what? That'll be
You know what I loved about Kimi though?
What?
Is in the Parc Ferme bit. I don't know if you saw this, but Martin Brundle comes over beaming like an idiot and going, "Wow, that was a great race. You must be really happy." And Kimi's just Kimi. And go, "Oh, for sure. I like the win. It's better than second."
That's what he said, though.
It is.
I'm slightly happy. It's like he's got gauges of happiness, like third, slightly happy. And then the second, a bit happier. First, more happy.
I think he's definitely earned a double magnum. It's just well done, sir.
Yeah, so I was happy about that.
I also liked how legitimately happy Lewis seemed about it.
Mm.
Like it gave him the thumbs up on the slowdown lap, and then he came up in Parc Ferme as well and just said, "Really well done." And it didn't seem like that fake congratulations that they sometimes do when someone's won and they're like, "Oh, I should have won that," or "I don't think you deserve it." He legitimately seemed happy that Kimi had won that race, and I thought that was really cool.
Well, I think the whole world wanted him to win Monza, didn't they?
Yeah.
And it didn't quite happen. And this time round, it's Kimi in a Ferrari in America, and Ferrari needed a win in America to sell some cars out there. And it's just beautiful, man. The whole paddock, nay, the whole of Formula One fans wanted this win. It just makes everyone happy.
I got a bit nostalgic when the Finnish national anthem started playing. Took me back to the old Häkkinen Schumacher days,
Yeah, you do tend to forget them, don't you?
Yeah.
We're so used to the German one because we get that all the time. We get the Italian one all the time, the British one all the time. And it's nice to hear something different.
So I was very happy with that.
Okay.
And well played, Kimi. I did just want to mention as well, though, we had 2 disqualifications. Yep. That was Esteban Ocon and Kevin Magnussen. And both of them, Ocon was disqualified for fuel flow limits on lap 1. Don't quite know how that works.
Yep.
And Magnussen was disqualified for consuming more than 105 kilograms of fuel during the race.
Right. So I wonder if Ocon was just running extra rich on the first lap.
It might have been, but I don't get the Kevin Magnussen thing, because if you're not allowed to actually use more than 105 kilograms of fuel during a race, why would you put more than 105 kilograms of fuel in?
Oh, no, isn't it? That's the fuel flow during an hour, isn't it?
Well, no, because it's Ocon. It says it's fuel flow limits, but Magnussen is for consuming more than 105 kilograms.
Right. Oh, okay. Oh, well then, well, he's banged to rights then.
Yeah.
Oh, Haas again. Ugh.
Haas again,
Yeah. Okay, so, right, I'm going to run down the top 10 if that's all right, with the disqualifications in place. So, for the first time on this podcast, Mr. Kimi Räikkönen takes first position in the Ferrari. Yes, get the fucking...
I'm very happy to win. It's better than second.
I like winning. I hope I will do some more when I'm in the Sauber with the Ferrari engine. Max Verstappen was second, 1.2 seconds behind him. Lewis Hamilton was a couple of seconds behind him as well in third position. Sebastian Vettel made it past Valtteri Bottas to finish fourth. Bottas was fifth. Hülkenberg was sixth. Carlos Sainz was seventh. Sergio Perez was eighth. Brendan Hartley picked up 2 points in ninth position. And Marcus Ericsson, who started pretty much at the back, second to last. No, 16th. Oh, no, don't worry about that. Ignore me when I say that. He finished 10th and picked up another point for himself. So well done to all of them.
Hey.
In the driver's standings, we got a little bit of movement in the driver's standings. So in fifth position, we got Max Verstappen with 191 points. Down 1 from 3 is Valtteri Bottas with 217 points. Up 1 to 3 is Kimi Räikkönen with 221 points. Sebastian Vettel stays in second position with 276 points, and Lewis Hamilton has 346 points at the moment. He still hasn't won the title, though.
He has a 70-point gap, though, so that is...
it's nearly there, isn't it?
It strikes me as a bit of a formality.
Yeah, that's another thing that Kimi did in the was it the warm down room? He turned around to Lewis and he was like lazing in his lazy boy chair, and he's like, "So, did you win the championship?" And he was like, "No, okay," and that was it.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay, do you want to do constructors?
I'm so glad Kimi's not leaving Formula One next season.
Yeah.
It's yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm kind of sad Alonso's going, but I'd be even more upset if Kimi was going.
Yeah.
So.
Definitely.
Okay, yeah. Constructors. In 5th place is Haas with 84 points. 4th place is Renault with 106. Then, there's a bit of a gap to Red Bull Racing with 337. Then Ferrari at 497, and Mercedes are 66 points ahead with, let me just check if that's right. Yeah, 66 points ahead with 563.
Cool.
So, yeah, it's constructors, I feel, are a little bit more open than the drivers.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think there's a bit of sway there, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely now Kimi's got a little bit of a resurgence going on there, and Bottas, he's kind of fallen away a bit. He's gotten his head down, so he's a bit sad. Yep. Sad bunny.
Well, he hasn't won, has he?
He's not.
He hasn't won at all.
He's not won. He's not.
Right, okay, so that is the United States Grand Prix all over and done with. What have we got next time out?
We're off to Mexico, but I think we have something to do before we talk about that.
Oh, we do, yes. Well, oh God, thank goodness that you've got the format in your brain. Okay, right, so our predictions from last time out. My contract stipulates I have to ask you this question, but do you remember what you put down for last time? No. Okay, right. So, qualifying. You went for Vettel for pole position, but that's only because I went for Lewis for pole position.
Yeah, because I was ahead and you were behind, so you...
Yeah. So, I get 1 point, you get no points.
Okay. So, we're now tied on points.
Yes, and for the race, you went with Lewis to win the race, and I went with Vettel to win the race, and both of us get no points.
I thought you went with Kimi. Oh. I was there watching it thinking, he's going to be doubly happy now.
That would have been magic. That is the ultimate peak that I would have got that right. But no, I think I can't remember what race I did go for Kimi. I think it's in the old book. But yeah, no, I didn't go for it this time round. In the third column, we said, where is Alonso going to finish? And I went with, do you know what? I think he might get a point and he'll finish 10th. Nope. So no points for me.
Nope. What?
And you went, nah, don't be stupid. He'll be hit by Stroll and go out. And you got a point.
I feel I should have 2 points for knowing it was Stroll but would hit him as well.
I don't remember if you did actually say that, but yeah, you get a point for that.
Hey.
So, the tallies at the moment. You have 14 points. Mm-hmm. I have 13 points. There
I forgot about the third column entirely. I thought we were going to be tied on points. Well, I actually thought you'd be ahead because of Kimi. But okay.
No, you're still ahead, mate. You're still ahead.
Okay.
So, Mexico, next time out.
Next time out, let me give you some stats for the Mexican Grand Prix. Last time out, Vettel had pole, and the podium was Verstappen, Bottas, and Raikkonen. Mm-hmm. And the fastest lap was Vettel. What happened to Lewis last time? Did his engine go pop or something? I can't remember.
He won the title there as well, didn't he?
Let's see. Lewis Hamilton in the race. He finished 9th.
Did he win the title? I'm not too sure.
I remember. Maybe.
seem to remember him doing massive donuts there. And
Yeah,
he was running down the track as well.
Yeah, okay, so he must have won it there.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. That would explain that. So memorable, but we can't even remember it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Mercedes won the constructors at the US, and Hamilton won it in. No, who cares? Who cares? Just in terms of historic victories here, Nico Rosberg won 2015, Hamilton won 2016, and Verstappen last time out. When it comes to the repeat winners, the most is Lotus with 4, who I don't think will be winning this time out.
No.
And then it's McLaren and Williams, both tied on 3 apiece, which I don't think will be this time out.
No.
And then Ferrari and Mercedes both have 2, but obviously the Ferrari ones are from the previous incarnations of the circuit.
Yep.
From way back when.
From years gone.
From the before times.
Yes, when it was a good track. When it was a good track and they had the last corner. Ugh.
So yes, for long-time listeners will remember that Elton doesn't actually like this circuit.
No, I'm not a big fan of it. I think it's... I don't know, it just doesn't conjure up any magic yet. I think it needs a couple of races there, get a bit more history behind it, re-establish itself. And then we'll see where we go. But
Then we'll see.
It hasn't thrown up a magical race just yet. It might do.
No.
It might do. I like the idea of the stadium section, but you can do better than that. You can do better than what you've done in that stadium section. I think what they've done is just wrong. Just wrong. But there we go. You know, who am I to say anything about that? So, predictions for next time out. What? No, I get to choose.
You get to go first.
I get
still
to
behind.
choose. Oh, okay.
You do.
So, pole position.
Let me just give you the top. Let me give you the top 5 from the grid last time out to help you inform your decision.
Yeah.
Vettel was on pole, Verstappen second, Lewis was third, Bottas was fourth, Kimi was fifth.
Yeah. Vettel for pole for me then.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Who would you like?
I'm very tempted to say Kimi, but I'm going to go with Lewis because I'm just hedging my bets.
Okay. You're going for the guaranteed point.
Well, with a hopefully guaranteed point.
For the race, I'm going to go with Vettel again. I don't think he'll spin this time round.
Really? Okay.
I don't know.
I'm going to be boring. I'm going to go with Lewis.
Okay.
But I'd quite like Ricciardo to win, but I don't think he will.
Oh, everyone wants Ricciardo to win.
Almost everyone wants Ricciardo to win.
Yeah. Yeah, someone upstairs doesn't want Ricciardo to win at the moment, does it?
Apparently not.
Yeah.
So for third column, do you want to do something with Perez?
It's obvious, but yes.
I'll tell you what, let's do something with Perez as our third column.
Yep.
But maybe we'll do a fourth column as well. We'll see if we can figure something out. So,
Okay.
Shall we do where he finishes? Seems the easy one to do.
It is, yeah. Yeah, okay. Yeah, why not? Where
Okay.
did he finish on this race?
He finished 7th last time out.
Okay. Hang on. Oh. He finished 8th. Yeah, 8th. Oh, is this the last race? Sorry.
Yeah, the last race, yeah.
The last race in Mexico.
Yeah, the last Mexican race.
Sorry. Yeah, okay. Okay, right. Oh, I get to choose as well, don't I?
Yeah, still you. And just so you know, the previous year he finished 10th. And the previous year before that, he finished 8th. So he's always finished in the points. So he's always done quite well.
Third. I'm going third.
Ooh,
That's a big shout.
you're feeling very feisty there, my friend.
There's going to be carnage.
Okay, well, I'm going to hedge my bet slightly. I'm going to go with 6.
Okay, good call.
I think best of the rest, maybe.
Yeah.
All right. So we need a fun little fourth column. I feel like doing something with Red Bulls, but I'm not quite sure what. I don't just want to do who's going to be top finishing Red Bull because that just seems a bit boring. How about? Are they doing any engine penalties? How many engine penalties will they take? I would assume Ricciardo's probably going to take something.
I don't know if he would or not. I think he might get away with it. The problem is we don't make these predictions the day before.
No, we don't.
I think with Verstappen starting 18th, then you could have a good one of, okay, where is he going to finish?
Yeah.
But we don't know that, do we?
No, we don't know. We don't yet know.
What can we have with that? We could have... are we able to get the stats on the fastest laps between them two?
Well, we can certainly get their top... well, I don't know if we can get their individual fast. I'm sure we can.
Or their speed,
we
traps.
We could probably get their speed traps, yeah, but... how about... How many penalties will Verstappen pick up and complain about? I don't know. Seems like he's due after he didn't get one in the US. So
okay, how many winglets will be lost by Red Bulls?
Okay,
how many pieces of carbon fibre can we count that fall off? I.e., if a piece of the front wing falls off, that's one. If the barge ball comes off.
Look, just to make it easier, because that will be very difficult to count.
Yeah.
How many collisions will Red Bull be involved with?
Okay.
And it could be if they bounce across two cars, that's two collisions. So, how many collisions Red Bull in their totality will they be involved with?
Yeah. Okay. How many collisions? Okay, let me write that down. How many collisions with Red Bull? Okay, right. Oh, okay, so...
You get to go first still, my friend?
I do get to go first. That is a tough one. 3.
You're going to 3, are you?
I'm going with 3. If I'm putting Perez on the podium, then I've got to go with 3.
It feels like you're doing a bit of a Vettel here. It's like you're deliberately hitting me to spin around so you can point to this as the point where you lost the championship.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with 1.
1. Okay. That sounds good to me, man. That's a good one. I like that.
All right.
Cool. Right, we'll leave it at that then.
Here's a question for you, Bo. What if they hit each other?
That's like Googling Google, isn't it?
A bit, isn't it? Divided by 0.
Yeah, that's... Oh, because that's happened this season already as well, isn't it? Oh.
Yeah.
It depends. If they...
I'll tell you what, if they hit each other, we both just get a point.
Yeah, okay. All right, yeah, okay, that's fine, yeah.
Yeah.
But if one hits the other... hang on.
No, because we've just said collision. We've not said who's at fault or anything like that. It's merely car coming into contact with another car.
Okay.
So I think if they hit each other, we just both take a point from it. Just call that good.
Yeah. Okay, so hang on. That's like a 5th column. So if both Red Bulls touch, we get a point, yeah?
Yeah.
We both get points. We might as well just get 100 points each then.
pretty much. I'm fine with that, yeah.
Okay, right. We'll leave it at that. Otherwise, we'll just be counting points for the rest of the time. Yeah. Okay, so thank you for joining me. Have you got anything that you want to share with all these lovely people that listen to podcasts and stuff?
22 hours on a plane sucks. I don't recommend it.
Yep.
That's about it. I've not done like any podcasts in over a month because I've been busy. But when I do podcasts, they're over at RogueTwoMedia.com with the good Mr. Elton McManus.
Yep.
And at some point, we will do a special on First Man once. Have you seen it yet?
No, I haven't. No, it's been bonkers. Half of it.
Fine. But at some point, there will be a video about First Man. But at least not for another week because I'm here until Friday.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Also thinking, for the last race as well, Abu Dhabi, that finishes around about 7, 8 o'clock at night, doesn't it?
I believe so, yeah.
Would you be up for like a live recording of the Grand Prix podcast?
Do you mean live as in commentating on the race as it happens, or live as in afterwards we just record and put it out on Mixler or something?
Yeah, do the Mixler thing.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Yeah, sure.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
If you're still listening to this, number one, congratulations. Number two, big gold star
We're so
to
sorry.
you. Yeah.
We're so sorry.
And number four, if it happens around the last race, what we'll do, because it finishes so late, we'll watch the race and immediately jump on and record. And then you'll be able to join us in a chat room and maybe Skype in if you wish. We'll plug it. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But all you have to do is pop along to mixler.com/RogueTwoMedia. And that is mixlr.com/RogueTwoMedia. And you can join in on a chat room. We have it all set up. It's already paid for and stuff like that. So yeah. What I'll do, I'll plug it on the next race and the race after that, and then we have the Abu Dhabi one. So if you want to join us, if you want to chat with us, if you want to Skype in, you're more than welcome to. I think that's only fair, I think.
Seems good. You can tell us directly to our faces what idiots we are then.
Yeah. Nice and easy. Nice and easy. In the meantime, go along and listen to the Shonky Lab. It's myself and Mr. Martin Thompson talking about fanfic. Yeah. I didn't know that there were certain subgenres where, it's weird.
Oh, you've encountered slashfic, haven't you?
I have now. I have now. I didn't have a clue, man. Honestly, I don't know. What?
Ignorance is definitely bliss in a lot of these instances.
Why would I know?
Speaking of ignorance being bliss, I'm not saying you do this, but the website you want is peopleofwalmart.com. You can go and hate watch that later on.
Okay. Is that like look at my fucking red trousers.com?
Almost.
Okay. Okay. Also, please listen to the Black Dog podcast and Hypnagoria and the Broadcast and lots of other podcasts that we're related to. And pop along to iTunes and give us a review on there as well. That helps with our exposure to absolutely everyone else in the whole wide world. So until the Mexico Grand Prix, or Mexican Grand Prix next week, it's me, Elton, and this Andy, and we'll say goodbye. So, ta-da!
Ta-ra!
That move for seats might be coming on the Renault. Okay, we'll keep an eye on that, especially if October's got a problem, because 2.8 has become 1.9 in the space of a lap, so that's going to happen, isn't it?